Almost two-thirds of Conservative Party members believe Theresa May should resign and trigger a leadership contest as the Prime Minister looks to shore up her minority government by appointing ministers to her new cabinet today. A Snap survey conducted by the Conservative Home website revealed that 60% of party members believe Mrs May should quit, while just 37% of the 1,500 members who took part said she should stay in post. Meanwhile, Mrs May will reportedly face a leadership challenge on Monday unless she sacks her two top aides Nick Timothy and Fiona Hill, who have been heavily criticised for the running of the Tory election campaign. Mrs May has been left clinging on to power after a disastrous set of general election results which saw her party lose its majority, with senior Tories believed to be taking soundings over whether she needs to be replaced. Party sources suggested Boris Johnson, Amber Rudd and David Davis were being sounded out as possible replacements. Mrs May has refused to quit despite calls from her opponents, as members of her own party criticised her campaign and suggested she should consider her position. The Conservatives finished the election with 318 seats, 8 short of the 326 needed for a majority, and she is now pursuing a deal with the hardline Democratic Unionist Party and its 10 MPs to ensure she can pass legislation through a hostile House of Commons. Mrs May has abandoned plans for a major reshuffle of her cabinet amid fears that she cannot afford to alienate senior ministers in the wake of the election. The Prime Minister announced yesterday that her 5 most senior ministers will all keep their jobs. During the election, she repeatedly refused to commit to retaining Philip Hammond as her Chancellor during a joint press conference with him. He was widely expected to be moved on after a series of clashes with Downing Street over a humiliating budget U-turn on plans to hike national insurance earlier this year. Mr. Hammond tweeted, "Pleased to have been reappointed so we can now get on and negotiate a Brexit deal that supports British jobs, business and prosperity." Boris Johnson, the Foreign Secretary, has also retained his role despite fears that he could be moved on if Mrs May secured a significant majority.